experience of the human race is lodged in the subconscious of everyone and operates through everyone until a passageway is cleared back through the mind to the spiritual presence, which has never been affected by race thought. Anything that contradicts the supremacy of good, that all-conquering power of love, and the immediate availability of God are blocks in consciousness and must be removed. Ernest Holmes offers a powerful way to accomplish this called spiritual mind treatment. Minister, therapist, and community advocate Reverend Wayne Miller shares these words of wisdom. We are called to be strong companions and clear mirrors to one another, to seek those who reflect with compassion and a keen eye. How are we doing? We need the nourishing company of others to create the circle needed for growth, freedom, and healing. We have the affirmation. Our affirmation today is, I am grateful for the power and potential of collective curiosity and spiritual truth to transform our shared doubt. Thank you, and welcome to Reverend Dr. Kaplan.
Well, I want to begin with a story. There was a man who was a chronic doubter. And he decided he was going to get some answers. So he climbed this massive mountain up to where there was a famous guru, a master of all wisdom. And when he got there, he said, you know, I've questioned everything my entire life. I questioned the existence of the universe. I questioned my purpose. I even questioned my spiritual path. And so he looked at the guru to see what he would say, and the guru smiled adoringly. He looked at him and he said, "Are you sure?" All right. Oh my goodness. It's so good to laugh, isn't it? Yeah. And so this thing called doubt, the tendency to question, has been in many traditional religions considered something that you don't want to do. You want to just believe what's being told to you, right? So the idea of questioning is truly a doorway to curiosity, a doorway, therefore, to deeper discovery of deeper truth. If we use it that way, if we just hang out and doubt all day long, well, that's not what we're talking about. This is about seeing doubt as an opportunity to take it into deeper within ourselves as a question and listen for answers, listen for guidance. So that's what we're talking about. When we're talking about divine doubt, is understanding that it's a natural human tendency, and rather than fight it, condemn it, judge it, we're going to use it for our own spiritual progress. So what I wanted to do today is talk about this principle of single-mindedness. And it comes from a beautiful quote by the great mystic Howard Thurman in Disciplines of the Spirit. He offers a really profound way of navigating human suffering. And this is what he says. He said, one of the ground rules of humanity's struggle with pain is to focus the energy of life at a single point. We've probably heard of this one-pointedness or single-pointedness or being fully present in the moment, whatever that is. The energy of life, he says, becomes available when the conditions of single-mindedness are met. The conditions of single-mindedness are met. Ernest Holmes echoed this in a slightly different way, but it's the idea of single-mindedness. He said, spiritual experience is deep, calm, and self-assertive. It is the result of actually realizing the presence, which binds all together in one complete whole. This experience comes in the stillness of the soul. So again, there's a one-pointedness that takes place when we go within and listen. So we often think that everything has to be calm and perfect before we can have major breakthroughs in our lives, or before we can have this thing called spiritual enlightenment. But Holmes and Thurman both remind us of a hidden spiritual law. Listen to this one. Deep spiritual breakthroughs happen when we are forced to be single-minded in our focus. So sometimes that's what it takes. It's talking about hitting bottom, right? Sometimes when the conditions are so challenging in our lives that we are forced to focus our attention. So human strife, difficulties, challenges, whether it's our own personal challenges or whether it's things that are going on in the world, things that are making the headlines, we have an opportunity then, rather than to push away the doubt, the uncertainty, to stop pretending that we have all the answers, that we know exactly what's going on, and instead to drop the exhausting mask of certainty and look with single-mindedness at what is disturbing us, and then asking the deep questions within, allowing, therefore, that deeper discovery to take place. And what happens is a deeper and a richer faith has a possibility of being born, and a deeper connection with spirit. So those breakthroughs then can come from the big challenges that we have in our lives, the dark nights of the soul as well, all of that. The great spiritual masters who have gone through that, and I've gone through my own. Major breakthroughs take place at that time because there is a focus. There is a focus to move through it. If you do it that way, some people might just give up, but if you see it as an opportunity to walk through a door into a state of curiosity and wonder and questioning and listen for answers, it can become a real blessing. So that's the principle. The principle is single-mindedness, and now the human experience. I'm going to be talking about moving beyond this thing that Ernest Holmes calls race suggestion. He means human race. He's not talking about it in terms of what we're thinking of often today, but he called it was basically human race suggestion. And so when we look at the world around us, the turmoil, the social injustice, the wars, the division in our country of people taking sides, it's like we're playing a sport or something. You're on that side and you're on that side. No, forgetting that we're here as one unified whole. When we see that kind of thing, we can feel a heavy weight of uncertainty on our shoulders. I get that. And in these moments, it's not just personal, it's communal. It's something beyond ourselves. And so I know that those kinds of things show up in our prayers, in our discussions, in our conversations, and also, if we're aware, it can be a real catalyst for a new vision. What is it that we want? Living in the question, what is it that I really want for myself and for our world? And what is mine to do in consciousness, in action, to make a difference? So while Ernest Holmes called this shared mental weight, race suggestion, today we often call it collective subconscious or collective unconscious. And think of it as a huge reservoir for all human trauma, all the challenges people have gone through, all of the interpretations, the beliefs, many of them false. I'm not going to say all of them that are in race suggestion are false, but many that are false. And that this can operate in our subconscious because we share in this consciousness. And why are we here? I'm trusting that we are here because we want to break through that veil into a greater awareness of who we are, whose we are, and the power and the presence that is within us that we can use for greater good, to have those breakthroughs. So this is a great realization. The first time I heard this was from Byron Katie. She described it so beautifully. When we wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, we're wide awake, and all these fearful thoughts or doubts are flowing through our mind. And sometimes they just sound strange, that's not a thought that I would think, kind of thing. Actually, when you're in that state between awake and sleep, some of that stuff from the collective consciousness can rise up into your awareness. And if we know that, then we don't stand there and own it. In fact, much of it is that. We don't stand there and own it. We say, oh, I know what that is. And it helps us to stay in a greater sense of empowerment. So that collective subconscious of the world can rise up. If we try to spiritual bypass it, though, if we try to cover it over with happy affirmations without doing the deeper inner work, the questioning of what are the thought patterns behind all of this, then we're just, we're not really making progress. So, when you have the courage to name the doubt, in other words, the thought patterns behind it, you do it with another person, you're doing them a great gift, you're giving them a great gift by helping to alleviate maybe some hidden shame that they might have about some of the questions that they have, or the doubts or the fears. So that's what we're talking about today, this idea of sharing the kind of the collective doubt together, because then we can continue to encourage each other to make that path, create that path right to our spiritual truth together. Spiritual community is about that. Beloved community is about that. And then real evolution can take place. And then we can find the answers to very challenging situations together. We don't have to do this all alone. So let's experience this together. I'm going to invite you to move into a shared experience by getting comfortable in your seats and with your feet flat on the ground so that you're grounded and supported by Mother Earth. Relax into the chair. And closing your eyes, or if you're uncomfortable with that, just a soft gaze down at the ground in front of you. Taking a deep breath, letting it go. Setting aside anything that may have been concerning you, just for the moment. Stepping into inner stillness. Stepping into inner stillness. For some of you, it may be in your heart. And just breathing for a moment before we progress. Diving deep into the stillness. A place where you are fully unified with your divine self. And so you can observe from that place of safety and clarity what we're about to do. So now bring to mind an area of irritation or a doubt that's been occupying your mind. What's been on your mind that's causing you to question or doubt? It might be a doubt about your life or a heavy collective uncertainty about the state of our world, or even the future of our spiritual community. Do not judge it, honor it as natural, a natural part of human experience. Notice any discomfort that might be in your body and bring your full attention there. And breathe into it. Dive into the center of it. And then we remember who we are in truth. The infinite power and presence of God. The love of God, the peace of God, individualized. Towers of power and towers of strength and towers of vision. And then ask, is this fear entirely mine, or am I carrying the weight of collective subconscious, the collective subconscious? And now see your doubt as a stone with the name of the doubt imprinted on it. And imagine that we are all lifting these heavy stones of doubt out of our hearts and placing them in a communal pile right here in front of me. Imagine a communal pile of rocks of all the doubts, all the uncertainties, all the fears, all of the questions. Notice how similar they look, all these rocks. Feel the relief of knowing that you do not have to carry this alone. Any sense of shame is lifting. Isolation is dissolving. And now the sense of the presence that binds us all together into one complete whole arises into our awareness. This presence is the power of divine love greater than any collective fear. It is our inherent power and strength, this thing called divine love. True strength doesn't mean having all the answers. Keeping your faith alive means trusting our questions as part of this journey of life, part of this discovery of our divinity. And now see a warm golden light of divine love intelligence radiating from our hearts and enveloping all of those doubts that are on the floor in front of us. Watch the light transform the energy of uncertainty, of doubt, of fear, into pure curiosity, courage, courage, and then ultimately clearer vision. Take a deep cleansing breath. Let your shoulders drop. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. And when ready, return your awareness to the room and open your eyes. So if there is anything that you take away from this today, I'm trusting that you're taking away the awareness that doubt is not a weakness, uncertainty is not a weakness, that it truly is a gateway or a doorway to a deeper discovery of our divinity, of our unity in the whole, as the whole. And also that it provides the motivation and the focus in order to grow as an inclusive and truth-seeking community. And so I wanted to kind of tie this into what's actually going on here at the Center for Spiritual Living Delaware. So as you know, the last several weeks we have been taking part in engaging in this idea called strategic plan, and looking directly at our collective questions, our uncertainties, and our highest visions. So I would like all of you to understand that this thing called strategic plan, particularly the way we do it in Centers for Spiritual Living, is not just a piece of administrative paperwork. Can we let go of that one? I mean, it's really important that we do that. Instead, what if we look at it as a holy invitation to work together as a community to co-design our future? When we ask the big uncomfortable questions, where are we going? Who do we want to be? And how we want to serve our world? We are doing the work of spiritual engineering. As we let go of the ways that the ideas, the collective fears, and the old templates of how we do things, and we enter into this field of possibility, we're opening our minds, therefore, to a new spiritual blueprint for our spiritual community. Does everybody get that? This is a great opportunity we have here, and we can all participate. Everybody's invited to the party of co-creation. And this thing that we call collective purpose, shared aliveness as we continue to build, we can prepare for this together by understanding what we're really up to here. And we can bring our questions, our doubts, and our fears to the table as we're doing this. Because this is how we're going to grow, expand, and unfold in consciousness and as a community. So how can we prepare? We can investigate our disagreements. Notice that we can notice that during our community discussions, what we immediately disagree with, and to stop, and instead of coming up with a quick defensive answer, and this is a practice for me too, to follow the emotion down to the core and center of where it comes from, the belief, and ask, what is the deeper truth that is wanting to be revealed here? What is the deeper truth? And then when we sit with that irritation and take it into meditation, we can ask, what energy or creative solution is wanting to be born here? What new idea is wanting to be born here? So let's turn within in prayer. I am so clear in my understanding that despite the this idea of what's going on in our world and so on, that there is one source, one life, one presence, and one power that is above and beyond and also right here, right now, as each and every one of us. This presence that is operating through us as ideas, as opportunities, and also as a greater awareness of our spiritual nature and our co-creative power. A revelation of a common purpose, I understand, is taking place right here and right now. I'm claiming that any tendencies to be tied into this thing called human race consciousness or collective consciousness that could in any way feel like a heavy weight or pull us down, that we are transcending that now as a community and standing together in this co-creative process called life, called spiritual community, with an open heart and an open mind and a willingness to fully participate in designing our future together, listening deeply for that guidance within, working together for the greatest good of our spiritual community and each and every individual that's part of it. As we rest in that truth, as we relax into it, let us do so with a grateful heart and a full and complete acceptance of all that is being showered upon us, the great blessings, the infinite good that is ours right here, right now, as we open our minds and hearts to it. Feeling the good, aligning with our truth. I release this word now into the action of universal law. And I stand strongly in faith and trust that it is fulfilled. And so let's accept it with a powerful yes. And so it is. Thank you, my friends.